2004 saw the release of the seminal and iconic teen comedy film Mean Girls, with a screenplay based on the book Queen Bees and Wannabes by Rosalind Wiseman. The film analyzes high school social hierarchies and explores the effects of subtle manipulation and bullying on teenage girls.
You're like really pretty.
Thank you.
So you agree?
What?
You think you're really pretty?
Tina Fey wrote the screenplay and starred as everyone's favourite math teacher and alleged substance pusher Miss Norbury. It shaped a generation of girls who saw how Queen Bees used manipulation tactics to maintain their status and dictate the social order. How girls can appear nice, but really be the nastiest skank bitch you'll ever meet. It delivered some of the most iconic comedic moments in film history.
She doesn't even go here!
And continues to have pivotal significance in pop culture. The success of the film led to a sequel that we do not talk about, and ultimately a highly acclaimed Broadway musical, a musical which has now been made into a movie that was released in early January 2024, to mostly positive reviews, but some people think this film was hot garbage, and others just sit somewhere in the middle. Let's talk about what went wrong with Mean Girls 2024. Before we get any further into the video, this video will obviously contain spoilers.
Duh!
The majority of what I talk about in this video is also my opinion. There's already lots of other videos talking about this movie, but this is mine. I also want to preface this video by saying that I will be using clips from the original movie and repeating clips because I only want to use public content. The movie is not available for streaming at this time, and I also just do not want to go down illegal avenues to access clips for this movie. So Mean Girls the Musical opened in October 2017 at the National Theatre in Washington, D.C. Broadway previews for the musical began in March 2018 at the August Wilson Theatre, and the official opening night was on the 8th of April 2018. Original screenwriter Tina Fey wrote the book, and Lorne Michaels returned as a producer alongside Stuart Thompson. With lyrics by Nell Benjamin and music by Jeff Richmond, the musical instantly became a hit. This line from the synopsis for the production really encompasses what Mean Girls is truly about. Mean Girls is an anthem to friendship, loyalty, girl power, and being true to yourself. As someone that lives in Australia, where the musical scene is sadly not as prevalent as it is in the States and the UK, I lived on slime tutorials of this show. If you don't know what a slime tutorial is, you're not allowed to have an opinion on the movie. I'm just kidding, but I'm also deadly serious. The musical then went on the road with its first national tour in September 2019. My girl Mariah Rose Faith was cast as Regina George after Tina Fey and her husband, show composer Jeff Richmond, saw the video Mariah had posted to YouTube covering World Burn and invited her to audition. And I just love that fact and remind everyone I know about it at any given moment, so now that includes you. Anyway, in May 2019, it was announced that Renee Rapp, icon, legend, she is the moment, would be taking over the role of Regina George on Broadway, a role which she reprised in the musical film. And in January 2020, Paramount Pictures announced a movie of the musical was in development. Once again, Tina Fey wrote the screenplay and it was produced by Fey and Lorne Michaels. I went to see this film 2 days after the premiere on the 10th of January, which is Miss Rapp's birthday, thank you very much. Iconic that the film premiered on her birthday. Anyway, I did have high expectations. I knew it was a movie of the musical. I knew it wasn't going to be like the original. I was waiting for something that would blow my mind with how they portrayed musical aspects in a film context. And then I saw the movie, and it was awful. But I still loved it. There were references to the original source material, and I loved the cameos of Ashley Park, who originated Gretchen on Broadway as the French teacher, and Lindsay Lohan, who needs no introduction, as the host of the Mathlete State Championships. Although the way bestie Lindsay delivered her lines felt very flat, like she was literally just reading the script with a smile on her face, it felt correct to have her be in the film somehow. Having Tim Meadows return as Mr. Duvall is everything too.
Hell no, I did not leave the South Side for this!
However, I feel like this movie lost the playfulness of the musical and the real storytelling of the original film. The characters in this adaptation lacked depth, and there was little to no character development, especially on Katie's part, which is a huge component of the 2004 film.
Calling somebody else fat won't make you any skinnier. Calling someone stupid doesn't make you any smarter. And ruining Regina George's life definitely didn't make me any happier.
The average review scores on different platforms vary immensely, with a critic score of 70% and an audience score of 62% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 6.2 out of 10 on IMDb, but then a 2.3 out of 5 stars on Google. So what happened? What did they do right, and what did they do wrong? Starting with probably the most important part of a musical, the music. Some of the songs hit and some missed for me. A lot of the songs from the musical got cut, which I do think was a good idea to cut down on runtime, but it also meant it cut down on understanding the characters on a deeper level. My absolute favourite moment from the musical is Karen's introduction in Meet the Plastics.
My name is Karen. I may not be smart. That's it.
Fabulous, stunning, poetry if you will. Anyway, I need to talk about Sexy. I'm sorry, I despise what they did to Sexy. I would have loved for them to have mixed up the arrangement just a little bit, and the instrumental is actually quite nice to listen to, but the inflections felt kind of random, and some of the harmonies were used in odd places. For example, the harmonies did amplify the song in other places though, like this bit. They literally yassified Sexy. Baffling. The cast mostly have great voices, and vocally the performances were quite strong, but the composition and acting felt weak. Like, Angourie Rice has a really good voice, but I think they should have lowered the key for some of her songs. The cinematography in this film was interesting, because some of the shots were really good, but the editing and directorial choices felt so jarring. During the musical numbers, it was such a sensory overload for the majority of the scenes that I was struggling to pay attention to the song and what was happening. There were some weird moments when the camera would zoom in, or there would be lighting choices that made no sense to me. And yes, I am talking about the zoom in on Katie in Meet the Plastics. The consistent use of phone screens is a choice too. I feel like updating the technology can be done without inserting phone clips every few minutes. It's a great idea to reflect the modern age of teens on social media, but it was overdone. Emma, a reviewer on Google, said the acting was so bad and it felt as though the characters were speed reading through the script rather than convincing us it's their actual personal thoughts. The line delivery in general was just poor a lot of the time. And I completely agree. Most of the time it felt as though the actors were just reading. There was no emotion behind most of the acting, and though there were still some comedic relief moments, the acting was shallow, and I saw a lot of comments on a Clock app video about how it has the feel of a Dhar Mann video. For me, Jaquel Spivey as Damien saved the comedy aspect of this film. His energy the whole time was 100. His delivery and expression was everything, and I loved every second he was on screen. Another thing I said earlier about this film was that there was no depth to most of the characters. In the original film, we come to realize that Janice is actually just as mean as Regina.
It's Katie. C-A-D-Y. Yeah, I'm gonna call you Caddy.
She's just as manipulative, but she disguises it well, and we as the audience are supposed to be rooting for her. Elle Literacy's video, How Mean Girls Demonizes Hyperfemininity, talks more in depth about how Janice is equal to Regina in her scheming ways. Ali's Janice is less of a mean girl and more of a girl boss, and while I love a girl boss, we don't really get to see her cunning side. I highly recommend watching Ellen's video, and I will leave a link to that in the description box. Serena Skyborn also put it best in her video, The New Mean Girls Isn't Mean Enough. Going back to the characters, Katie also is supposed to progressively become more and more fake. Janice's issue with Katie in the 2004 film wasn't necessarily that she was becoming hyperfeminine, but that she was becoming someone she's not and betraying her friends. The shift from Lost Puppy Katie to Mean Girl Katie in the musical movie was pretty instant, and didn't really convey the idea that she's subconsciously becoming exactly who she's trying to bring down. So I think they failed to create the leading girl we saw in Lindsay's Katie. And Gowrie didn't really get to show her talents as an actor, and she could have given a bit more of a nuanced performance. Avantika as Karen also had some funny moments, but her portrayal of the character felt a little one-note. The charm of Karen is that she's ditzy, we know this, but she's also got the kindest heart and wishes happiness for everyone. The only real glimpse we got of that wholesomeness in the film was when Katie's mum tells her she has a text from Karen saying, "Do not worry, I am still your friend." Avantika's Karen had a constant look of dazed confusion, which can be used to her advantage in some scenes, but not for the whole film. A comment left by Danny Hudson 3715 on the Sexy Mean Girls on Broadway video sums up what I love about Karen as character. I love how she delivers every line like she's waiting for someone to show her a script to prove she said it wrong. Kate Rockwell says every line with a confused smile, and you can see the cogs turning in her brain as she sings/talks. So while I did really like Avantika as Karen, and she's absolutely stunning, I wanted more from her. And I am going to say it, I am. Chris Briney was not the right choice for Aaron Samuels, in my opinion. It felt like he was just there to say his lines and go, and his performance was really bland. Like in most of the interviews I've seen of the cast, he looks really confused and scared to be there, and it was the exact same in the film. And is it just me, or do Angari and Chris kind of look like they could be siblings? Because that was weirding me out the whole time. I do have to quickly mention the not-so-subtle e.l.f. Cosmetics product placements. First of all, Regina would never use e.l.f. I get it, they can't use other brands, but Regina would genuinely rather be caught dead than be caught using e.l.f. This is not a dig at e.l.f. or people that use e.l.f. products. I use e.l.f., but Regina George would never. Something else that felt off was the costume design. The majority of the plastics outfits looked cheap and low quality. There was so much colour and pattern clashing that really threw me through a loop. I'm not a fashion expert, though I do have a Cert 3 in fashion design. Anyway, I'm not an expert, but I would have dressed the characters, especially the plastics, so differently. Gretchen's outfits in particular were kind of nerdy. Some of the pieces she wore were really cute, but not with the things they were paired with. This film had double the budget of the original. Most of that clearly went into the set design, but they probably should have put more of that budget towards the costuming. The outfits/costumes I did like were Regina's black leather jacket look, Karen's flowy tie-up tops, most of Janice and Damien's unconventional styling, and obviously Regina's Halloween party look. Despite the fact that it looked cheaply made, Renee looked incredible. There were also some things from the original movie and the Broadway musical that I wanted to see in this one, like the shot of Regina standing in the hallways watching the chaos of the burn book unfold that would have fit the end of World Burn so well. I wish we got more of a glimpse into Gretchen desperately seeking Regina's approval before What's Wrong With Me. And of course, high on pain meds Regina in the bathroom sticking the bow on her forehead. Just a little sprinkle of comedy in the last few minutes of the movie. Speaking of the ending, I did not like the garage set transitions at the start and end. It was very jarring. So what did they do right? Not a lot, honestly, but the good things were noticeable. Bringing Renee back to be Regina. Bringing back Tina Fey and Tim Meadows as Miss Norbury and Mr. Duvall and having them be in a relationship. The way they shot the house parties to make the rooms feel bigger, casting some absolute vocal powerhouses. Pretty much all of Revenge Party. The attitude in the "Sorry Regina, rules are rules" line. Changing Janice and Karen's last names to reflect the actresses' backgrounds, Damien's scooter, and the tournament host saying there's only been a tie once before, referencing the tie in the original film. Mean Girls 2024 is not a masterpiece, but it's camp, it's fun, it's modern. It kind of gave Disney Channel musical energy though. I was really hoping for a seamless blend of theatre and film that movies like Mamma Mia and Hairspray did so well. But I would watch it again, and it probably will become a comfort film for me like the 2004 film is. Before I go, I've linked some other reviews and deep dives in the description if you're interested in watching more. If you like this video, like the video. If you agree or disagree with something I've said in the video, comment below. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you again next time.